There are stories that don't just stay with us. They change us. They take root in places we didn't know were empty, and suddenly, we're not the same. This one began, like most life-changing moments, on a day that looked just like any other. He was a man of precision, a schedule tight as the stitching on his Italian suit, morning coffee at 6:15, market reports by 6:45, emails, calls, meetings, wins, a cold, calculated rhythm that made him rich and hollow. The car stopped at the light. The sun was starting to drop behind the skyline, casting a golden haze over the glass and concrete. Inside his luxury sedan, the air was still, climate-controlled, silent, but outside, there she was, a little girl, maybe 6, barefoot, clothes worn, hair tied back in a makeshift ribbon that looked like it had stories of its own. In one hand, a small bouquet of wilted flowers. In the other, a handmade cardboard sign. $1. Please help my mom. She stood still, not pushing the flowers into anyone's face, not begging, just standing, eyes wide and heavy, like they had seen far more than a child ever should. People passed her, fast, like she didn't exist, like her story wasn't worth hearing. But for some reason, he looked, and she looked back. In that instant, the air changed. He rolled down the window, something he hadn't done in years. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated, then whispered, "Sophie." She offered him a flower. "Uh, it's for my mom. She's really sick." He took it, not because he needed it, but because something inside him broke. He got out of the car. People stared. After all, it's not every day a billionaire steps out of a black Mercedes in the middle of the city traffic to talk to a barefoot child, but he didn't care. "Where is she?" he asked. Sophie pointed down the street. "She's home. She can't get out of bed." He followed. They walked past cracked sidewalks and faded paint, into a narrow alley, and up 3 flights of creaking stairs. No elevator, no lights. The apartment was barely that, just one room, dim and humid. A mattress on the floor, a bucket in the corner, and there on the mattress was her mother, eyes closed, sweating, breathing shallow, the kind of sick you don't walk off. He stood frozen. Something about the room made his chest tighten. Memories clawed their way back, things he'd buried long ago. He didn't ask, he just acted. He left and came back with a doctor, then a bag of groceries, clean water, medicine, a new fan, fresh blankets. He stayed. When the mother opened her eyes, she tried to sit up. "I don't have money," she said. He knelt down. "Don't worry about that now." For the first time in years, he wasn't solving a problem. He was caring for someone. But things didn't get easier. Sophie's mother collapsed 2 nights later. The fever spiked. Her breathing failed. He carried her in his arms, barefoot, down 3 flights of stairs and into a cab because the ambulance was taking too long. In the hospital, they barely saved her. He sat in the waiting room all night. Sophie slept on his lap. The next morning, a social worker showed up. Too many questions. Why was Sophie alone? Why wasn't she in school? Why was this stranger involved? They threatened to put Sophie in foster care. He panicked. "She has no one," he argued. "That's exactly why she needs the system," they said. But he wasn't letting her go. He called his lawyers, paid for specialists. He didn't just fight the system. He rewrote the narrative. He became her guardian, temporarily at first, but it was enough. He found her and her mother a new place. Enrolled Sophie in school, took her to the bookstore, bought her crayons, paints, shoes with actual soles. She laughed for the first time in weeks. But healing takes time. She didn't talk much, always looked out the window like she was waiting for the other shoe to drop. One night she asked, "Are you going to leave too?" He paused, then said, "Not if you don't want me to." She didn't reply. But the next morning, he found a drawing on his desk. It was the 3 of them, smiling. That day, he cried. He started a foundation, the Flower Fund. Its goal was simple: find the invisible children, the ones selling wilted hope on street corners. He spoke to reporters, donated millions, but he always said the same thing. This isn't charity. This is repayment, because a little girl once gave me something priceless, a reason. Years passed. Sophie thrived. She studied, worked hard, laughed more. Her mother recovered, but her health was fragile. Then came the relapse. It happened fast, too fast. A cough, then a fever, then a diagnosis, leukemia. She held on for a year, but her body gave up before her heart did. At the funeral, Sophie stood silent. She didn't cry, not because she wasn't hurting, but because she was holding herself together for everyone else. After the burial, she sat next to him. He tried to speak. She shook her head. "Don't. I know." She leaned on his shoulder, and for the first time he leaned back. She moved in with him officially. Because you never know. That child might be someone's miracle, or maybe, just maybe, you're theirs. Not as a charity case, but as family. The papers never told that part of the story. They wrote headlines about the billionaire guardian, but they didn't see the late nights, the school projects, the hospital visits, the nightmares, the healing. They didn't see him carry her through grief like she once carried him through emptiness. Years later, Sophie graduated med school. She opened a free clinic in the very neighborhood where she once sold flowers. At the front of the building, a plaque read, "Dr. Sofia Alvarez, for the invisible ones, who always deserve to be seen." The man sat in the front row of her ceremony. He wore no tie, just a small flower in his pocket, wilted, pressed, the very one she gave him years ago. And me? I saw it all. Because I'm not just telling you a story. I was there. That man was my son. And Sophie, well, she taught him what I never could. She taught him that success without soul is just noise. That love, given freely, saves lives. That one act of kindness, $1, one flower, can start a revolution. So if you're ever in the city and you pass a child selling something small, don't look away. Don't keep walking.